And this is the workshop on using video cases in IB teaching. So given that it's a workshop, yeah, we wanted to be as interactive as possible, but it was very difficult for us to assess how many people would be here, if any. So we're very glad that some of you were able to get up early on a Saturday morning to attend. And so we will go through these slides one by one in different sections. But given the workshop type of session, I would urge you to interrupt us at any time, okay? So you have the right to unmute yourself automatically, so you don't have to ask permission, just interrupt us and you ask your question on the spot. After each section, we will interrupt ourselves and allow for some Q&A. So we will be asking a few questions to you. Don't get too nervous. We're not going to ask you to do anything for real. So it is a Saturday, so we're just going to ask for your opinion or ask for your feedback or your own experience, but nothing more. So no difficult exercises or whatever. So it's let's say a light-hearted workshop, if you like. I will be talking mostly, I'm afraid. I hope that Andreja, who's the co-host, as you can see, can also interrupt me from time to time. She will take the lead in one section, but I hope to we can also do some ping pong back and forth between me and Andreja for the other parts. Okay? Is that okay?
Sure. Yes, sure. I'll be admin manager, Filip.
Okay. I hope the sound is also good. I'm not always sure, but it is what it is. Okay. So we will be having 4 sections. So we will be focusing first, why video cases? What's the advantage of using video cases, and why video cases in IB? Well, what's specific about IB in this respect? Secondly, Andreja will tackle the experience we've had from using our cases in some pilot testing, using the video cases we developed specifically in a project which is called MNC Whispering, for which also Nuket, who's also one of the participants, is obviously also a partner, but I'll come back to that later on. Then in the third section, we'll be talking briefly about how to develop a video case study. So in case you are interested in seeing whether you could, to some extent, try to do this yourself. And finally, we will end the section with how to teach using video cases in our, a short experience that we've had. Okay. But before we start with those 4 sections, I wanted to introduce briefly the video case library for IB, the MNC Whispering project, for those that are actually interested, just to find out if there are some video cases that they could use in their own teaching. So, without necessarily knowing how to develop one, just to see which resources are available for your teaching in the future. Okay, so let's start with that first section. So the MNC Whispering project is the development of a video case library of IB video cases. It's a European funded Erasmus Plus project. And we have 5 partners, as you can see. I am from the KU Leuven. Andreja is from the University of Ljubljana. And we also have LEZ, which is a communication consultancy UK, which is an EdTech SME based in UK, as you can see. And Nuket is the director of that company. And we still have 2 other university partners, Poznan University of Economics and Business and the University of Leeds. Okay, so video case library. When we say video case, let me first elaborate a little bit what we think is a video case. So in our point of view, a video case is a company focused and manager narrated story about a company and the decision it had to make in internationalization. Of course, this can treat many different topics and can come from many different countries and sectors and types of companies, small companies, big companies, but we are focusing on a company and on a manager who talks us through his decisions, his mistakes, his successes, and how the decisions were made and what they meant for that company. So they are, let's say, co-created between academics who, of course, try to develop this type of video case based on our knowledge of theories and of frameworks, and the story, the practice of this company. So in our conceptualization, that is what is a video case, what's a video case is about. Given the background of these partners in this project, the video cases are not your typical global names. So don't expect Coca-Cola or Nestle or whatever. They are, let's say, lesser well-known companies coming from different countries and sectors and size, etc. But I think that it's actually important to inform students about this and show what it's like to work for these type of companies, given that 99% of our students will actually end up working for these types of companies. So I think that that's an important trait, although of course they all appreciate also cases about Uber and Google and whatever. But of course, this can be also used to some extent, given the availability of the many cases that are out there. So we try to relate these video cases to different topics, as indicated, different theories and different frameworks. And you can use the keywords that are linked to our cases to find the cases that you are looking for. So depending on the course that you have, whether it's more, supply chain focused or production focused, or it's more managed marketing focused or more international entrepreneurship focused, there are different cases treating different topics. So there is something for everybody, if you like, depending on the type of course and the type of institute that you have. Our video cases are also accompanied by teaching notes to allow, of course, easy use and easy uptake by lecturers. Of course, you don't need to follow these teaching notes, but many lecturers, I think, appreciate being shown the exact format or the let's say the reasons and methods in using a video case. So those will be developed also. I think that that's about covers our video case. I'm not sure if there are any questions in this regard. I'm not going to talk in detail about the topics yet. We did a survey which perhaps you've filled in some time ago. And we're trying to tackle at least to some extent existing, but also some, let's say, newer topics, given that many cases and many textbooks are always quite slow in taking up some of these newer topics. So we're trying to at least share or focus on newer topics also. Okay, and so you can find everything on our website, which will become available by August 2021. So in time, let's say, for the new academic year. I know it's a little bit unfortunate that it's not really ready for the pandemic era, but it was actually not designed to some extent for online usage. We didn't know that when we started with this project that there was going to be a pandemic. So it was more focused, let's say, on using video cases per se, given the interest that we think that there is. And so everything will be posted on our website and also our accounts. Whether you prefer Twitter, or you prefer Facebook, or you prefer LinkedIn, and they will also be posted on our YouTube channel. Okay. So before we get started, any remarks here or any feedback? When we think of a video, or when you think of a video case, what do you think about? Have you used any video cases? Have you got an interest in using video cases? What type of video cases do you use? So I don't know, Dirk, do you?
Yeah, but at the moment it's really unsystematic, right? I mean, if there's a topic, every once in a while you look around on YouTube, you try to find things. On certain issues you find something, right? I mean, as you say, the big names or You know, I like those things about the car industry because it's always interesting with the configuration, but you find this usually. But you know, it's you take it whether it's really good or not. And I have a couple of one that you know that you get from textbooks and so on. But I have to admit, and that's also why I learned this, you know, not in a systematic way, and not that you say, okay, I need something on this topic, and you have something on this topic, but more you take what you get, right? It's this. I think it's very valuable. I mean, as you say now, well, not particular even to the pandemic, because you know now we show videos, or actually I did some more looking for videos and say, look this right now. But I think it would be very interesting to have this. I agree with you that it's interesting to look into smaller companies, or not the ones that we've seen hundreds of times. So I think it's very interesting on this, and I would work with something like this if I would find it really in a systematic way. Short question, do you provide the slides? Because, for example, your survey slide on what are the topics that lecturer think are missing, what are the topics that the students have named, actually I think it's very interesting as well, right?
Okay, true. But to some extent, Andreja, I will come back to this when we talk about our pilot testing, and so the feedback that lecturers and students gave. But honestly, we only use you know, the ones that we had already developed, so we're still in the process. As always, I must admit that it was a difficult learning process to which Nuka could also attest. She is more of an expert on this, given her previous experience. So as a lecturer and as an academic, it's always easy. I mean, going out of your comfort zone, and you know, we prefer for lecturing, especially, you know, we all like research, and our lecturing needs to be, you know, bread and butter, so nothing too difficult. And so, but I agree, many textbooks have some video cases, but they are just small snippets of a video, and then you have to make sense of what it means, and you have to talk to students and explain what you're trying to get at, rather than, you know, the video case being self-explanatory, you know, showing what it's about, and detailing the issue, and elaborating on the problem that the students should tackle. So I agree. I used it also previously from textbook, but it's just not very, it doesn't have much depth and much strong relation actually to the textbook in and of itself. Yeah.
Fully agree.
Yeah.
Maybe just to add that these topics and which are really missing actually were identified all around the globe, and this information is published in the EIBA, just to let you know if you look for this topic.
Okay. I hope, Andreja, it was just me, but I think that your sound is not very good. So I'm not sure if everybody agrees on this, or it was just my connection to you, but your sound is not excellent, not as good as the sound I got from Dirk. So I'm just, you know, wondering if perhaps, I don't know.
Okay, we'll try to.
Or sit a little bit closer to the microphone or something. Okay. So as she said, indeed, in the EIBA, there is a short article on this. And actually, I like EIBA because it gives you small and easy access short articles, which you can use in also for some readings of by students. Okay, so you can find something. I can't remember when it was. I think the last issue of 2019, if I remember correctly. Okay, so. Olu, and I'm not sure if you want to share a little bit your experience with teaching or using video cases, if any. If not, that's also fine. No worries.
Can you hear me at all?
Yes, very good.
I haven't used video cases. I've come across the video cases in the textbooks, but I think, as been mentioned, they've not been encouraging because they've not been systematic. So you run the risk of deviating from the authors as well. So that's one of the interests why I've actually joined as well. I've signposted in the past. I've signposted students to watch particular movies to kind of highlight particular themes of EIBA ethical issues. But that's me on my own trying to drive it. But it's not been very systematic.
No, it's true. For those of you that are interested, as you might know, also in the afternoon, there's a workshop by Nuket on using feature films. I sometimes have used Gung Ho, which is already a little bit outdated movie about the Japanese takeover of a US car manufacturing plant. I think it still has some merit, given that, you know, when the Chinese are now taking over, they run into the same type of problem, perhaps a little bit different, but still the same take. You have the Chinese purchase of that manufacturing plant in the US, which is on Netflix. Can't remember the name right now, which I actually like. And there's the one on outsourcing in India, which is also quite nice. But it's true, it's always quite long, and you know, students have to watch the movie in advance. So also that perhaps is a little bit the advantage of video cases, which we will be talking about briefly. Okay. Nuket, I'm perhaps not going to ask, or shall I also ask your experience with video cases?
Well, I mean, I think you've covered a lot, but I mean, if, you know, since you've asked, let me just say a few words. I think maybe we need to highlight the main difference with multinationals whispering and the other video cases that might be found in different sources, such as YouTube. Multinationals whispering was developed to be more act like an ebook, like Dick was mentioning. It is systematic. So, I mean, if you are going to lecture in IB, you can just, moving from one chapter to the other, you would be able to actually cover the entire IB curriculum via the multinationals whispering videos that will be produced at the end of the project. So I think that is one of the pluses, so that lecturers do not have to work, excuse me, do not have to work and trying to link the videos to textbook. But in our product, those video cases are actually linked to the case, to the curriculum by itself, especially with the help of teaching notes. Again, this is to be able to help lecturers so that they can just pick those videos and use them right away in the class without too much class preparation. I think that's the only thing I would probably add to what you've already, and Andreja has already said so far.
That's a good point. Because of course, as you know, the European Commission is very big on open source and being availability to everybody. So I think that's also part of it, in that we develop knowledge clips, meaning that we talk about the theory and the framework in and of itself, which you can use together with our video cases. Both will be freely available. So even if you are, you know, teaching in, let's say, you know, off the beaten track locations in Africa or in Asia, I've received quite a number of emails from there. And so they don't have to buy textbooks, which can be sometimes rather expensive and difficult to for students to buy. So indeed, our video cases can be used in and of itself. Oh, and of course, I had forgotten Leo, but he was not on my screen for some reason. And I probably, oh, there are still others. I had not realized that, I'm sorry.
Yes, Filip, if I just can say something, I think the most useful practice is to use certain clips and you know, giving the students opportunity first work on the case and then use clips all the time to just illustrate how real life looks in comparison to what they worked out. So I think the interactive way is the most useful in my experience.
Yeah, agreed. I think that's also part of the video case library that we are developing. It's like, you know, company and manager narrated. So it does feed into the real life experience and allowing for more, let's say, linkage to real life. Yes, Suzanne.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. So thank you very much. I think this is very interesting. And now I hadn't been teaching online until the Corona pandemic. So I've been doing it since February, and it apparently will continue also to summer. So I'm trying to find more efficient way for examination, because it's been a heavy burden with continuing the similar ways with individual reports in kind of presentations on Zoom. take-home exams, and it's just I tried to find something where I could examine the students more efficient. And we have had also live cases where the students do study visits and so on, which will not be possible. So I'm trying out if video cases could be a good thing to work with. But I think main issue is how I could examine them individually. Like for example, in the next course, which is internationalization of the entrepreneurial firm, I have just a 1.5 credit individual assignment where they before have written a paper, a couple of pages of paper, and then done an individual presentation. But now I would like to do something more interactive, like a case seminar. And do you think that video could be a good thing, and how could I kind of work with this to have it as efficient as possible?
Okay.
Yeah, may I add? Do you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, Suzanne, we were actually in the same position during pandemic, and although these case studies were not planned to be for an online teaching, but as a complementary, actually I tried at least my pilot cases during this spring. I will talk more about general results a little bit later, but with my experience, actually I used the case, a video case, which actually is in 3 parts, and after each part there is an open session and questions that can be used. And I actually did a joint meeting room via Zoom, so students were discussing and then presenting ideas interactively as an individual board members. And then later on they have I left them few times, so we meet again after an hour, and then they presented a draft, and then after a while they have to do a final report, a plan for this company, how to internationalize further, and that's what was their output. And they have to justify their decisions by some theory, and actually that was a final output, and they enjoyed a lot. And I take this as a part of their grade, and actually they were very happy. The assessment of the course at the end of the semester was actually excellent. I was positively surprised. So that was one way how I tried to use my pilot case, and actually the first experience was very nice, accepted.
Okay. I'm sorry, when I started, I had not seen that there were some others. Yes, Hans, go ahead. Hans, you're still on mute, which is for sure the 2020 phrase to be voted for. You're on mute. Yes.
Thank you. I had this semester 3 cases which I have used previously on paper, but this term I invited guest lecturers for the 3 companies, the 3 cases, only for short 45 minutes, teaching from their office, and everyone was online. And that's also, we were not able to record, but it was also linked to topics of textbook or articles. So that also worked very well. Yeah. But I didn't have the idea to ask for video recording, but maybe next time.
Yeah, it's true. It is actually a good idea. Yes, Suzanne, go ahead. So if you want to say something, just start talking, right? So that's what I said in the beginning. Perhaps I should repeat. So if you have something to say, just go ahead. Huh?
Okay, thank you. So that's, I had a question related to this because when it comes to the recordings, sometimes it's not everyone is happy to record and put into the course website because of we don't know where it could be spread, and also there are regulations in terms of if the students are caught as part of the video and so on. Is that something that you looked into?
Yeah, I think that it's true that if you're going to share it publicly, that might be an issue. But suppose that you only use it on your Blackboard platform, which is passport protected because you need to be registered as a student. So if the manager agrees that he's being recorded and you can use this for your own purposes, I think that there should be no issue. For our video case, of course, yeah, we have developed some sort of contract that we signed with the company. But actually, it's not, I asked my legal department, and it's not always necessary. So if they agree that they're being taped, and that you can use this for educational purposes, that should be enough, because you are recording the thing. So it's your copyright. But of course, they do need to agree. It's like, you know, I take your picture, or, you know, you needed to click that you're being recorded right now, right? I mean, otherwise you could not join the session. So that in and of itself could be enough. Of course, not if you're making money from this, but for educational purposes, it could be enough. Yes, Dirk?
I think you can probably, I mean, I've thought about the same thing. I have those guest lectures in class, they come very often. I mean, they're even hesitant to give you the slides later on, and they say, yes, if it's password protected and only for the people in the class, we do it. However, I think, you know, once you record it, you could still use it later on in an edited version and send it back to them and say, hey, here's the video case now of your company. And we just used, out of your 60 minutes, we used 2 times 10 minutes in between in the interview section or something like this. And I think you have to give them the right, because I mean, the legal thing is one thing, and but obviously you invite those companies that you have good relations to, and you want to have them later on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a question related to that. Sorry, because I can't see everyone, so I'm not sure if there was anyone else who wanted to.
Go ahead, Susan. I just was going to say something, but please go ahead. I'll add it afterwards.
Thanks. So I just had a question for the cases when you will do these, because it's one thing if a manager comes and presents the company and the internationalization, for example, and then you could cut that into smaller pieces. But when you will do a video case, will you do more like interactive approach with the company, go on site to record the facilities and those kind of things, so the students get a broader understanding of what the company does and looks like?
I had directly this experience, Suzanne, if I may add. During the pandemic, like Hans said, I also used 2 managers and 1 from commercial diplomacy, so 1 attaché when we were discussing different topics, and I was recording, but beforehand I gave actually I asked in advance to get a permission from everybody, even from students, although I didn't use them directly. But that material helped me a lot, because I recorded the session, and I knew what it's an excellent pre-preparation stage, I would say. So one of our cases, the ice cream company, which was increasing sales, was tested, and at that time they just started to sell it in China. And this pre-session with students was an excellent preparation, because I've seen what the students are interested in. And later on, I went to their factory and record the whole case, and it will be published in our library. So I think that's just an excellent start. We will discuss the development of cases, but that's how, for example, we also develop cases for the library. So the first interaction, the first meeting, because you need even to do a good case, to do a really focused and structured case, that's an excellent exercise to have them in class and see how they react and what kind of questions arise from students.
Yeah, before I give the word to Jean-Christophe, I started by elaborating a little bit upon our video case library development, which will become available, as Nuket has already mentioned in the chat, on our website and also YouTube. Everything will be ready by next academic year. So, you know, the project ends, so you can rely on the fact that all the video cases will be ready by that time. And so we will already be informing you of what topics and what companies beforehand. So you can try to you know, plan in advance if you want to use them in your course for next academic year. Yes, Jean-Christophe, did I see your raising your hand, or was I mistaken?
Yeah, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Yeah, I'm Jean-Christophe from France, Poitiers University. Don't be surprised because of the setting behind me and the background, because I belong to a think tank, an academic think tank named La Fabrique de l'Exportation in France. So I have this background for our meetings, so I kept it for today. Well, I'm interested in, we're not very good in France at using, I would say, online or new tools for education, even though we improved a lot in the last 6 months. So I was interested in every advice I could notice in the today's session.
Okay. If there are no further questions, I suggest we get started, given that we already... Yes, Nuket, go ahead.
I'll just add one small point, something that I wanted to add in regard to getting permission, just as a warning, because even if the current managers give their consent verbally, we know that managers change very often in these companies. So it is always a good thing to have a written consent. In case there are changes in management, at least you will have something in writing saying that you've got the consent of the company from the previous manager. That's what I wanted to add, because in a way, even if it is copyrighted material, even there is a lot of effort going on from the lecturer side in order to be able to produce that case study. At the end of the day, we're also using their knowledge and turning it into something else, adding value, academic value into it. But it is always so. It is in a way, it's a product that has been mutually produced. Therefore, we have to have their consent and also the permission to be able to use the material, because also, as you will see in our video cases, we also use some other material that we get from the companies. Therefore, just to be on the safe side, I would advise to get written permission from companies. That was all.
Okay, yes, I forgot that you had raised your hand. Okay, so unless there are any burning questions, I suggest we move forward. Okay, so let me go back to the PowerPoint. Yes, share. I had not realized that you did not see this. I was looking at you guys, but you were not looking at ourselves. Okay, so I'll come back to this because some of you were missed the start. So all the video cases and teaching materials will be free of charge because it's Erasmus Plus funded project. So of course, the European Union is very big on open source. And so our website is there, but also we will have some other social media that if you rather use this, everything will be there, including some on the YouTube channel that we have. Okay.